All right. The player ratings are in. Arsenal versus Man United. The player ratings for the players of Arsenal that went ahead to feature predominantly into this fixture that went ahead to happen at the stadium of Old Trafford. Now, let's obviously kickstart it off with the goalkeeper who goes by the names of David Raya. You understand? David Raya was in between the stitches for the club of Arsenal, and David Raya went ahead to obviously have what we call a fantastic performance in there for you. He played 90 minutes and he really prevented 0.74 of the goals, and he obviously made 7 saves, and out of those 7 saves, he really had some 4 saves that I really remember off my head. The header of Mbeumo, I think there came in through a shot from Cunha, I think thrice, because Cunha shot at the goal thrice. Then for Patrick Dog, I think he never had nothing to do on that, and there is the time he lost the ball and really closed down on Cunha. You understand? Because it would have gonna hit obviously be one of the most stupid goals that he would have ever gonna hit to give out in there. That is David Raya. And for me, for him keeping a clean sheet and saving Arsenal every time they needed him, he goes in for a 9 out of 10 into this beautiful game of football. We go to Benjamin White. His side was really exploited a lot. When you look at the threats that Arsenal really went ahead to get in the first half especially, Ben White, his side was really exploited a lot because he tried to narrow the pitch and United were widening the pitch through Patrick Dogmo. You understand? And it's also it that United tried to obviously exploit a lot that side. And I'm giving him a 6 out of 10. That is Benjamin White. Then we are having the other guy called Carafiori. Goal scorer. By the way, he looked solid. If you really know how Bryan Mbeumo can obviously make you busy and expose you, this guy deserves his flowers. He deserves his flowers because he really did the needful and went ahead to stop Bryan Mbeumo in there. Because in the first half, apart from Bryan Mbeumo hitting us on the break, he never obviously exposed Carafiori a lot, and Carafiori did his job. And the only time Bryan Mbeumo went ahead to beat Carafiori was when Carafiori went ahead to get a red card, and it was really professional because when Bryan Mbeumo is really having huge spaces ahead of him, you just can't let him really run freely like that. And that's what he really went ahead to do as a player for the club of Arsenal. And from here, he takes a 7.5 out of 10 as he spared some time and went ahead and obviously scored the goal. That is Ricardo Carafiori. And you saw his inversions, Sometimes you thought that he was really a CDM, but he really did his job and couldn't obviously lose the job. No, when he got a yellow card, his chances of really playing for 90 minutes were really reduced, as the manager was like, if we get a red card, then things will go from bad to worse, because Arsenal were 11 against 11, but United were all over the place. They're really attacking them left, right, and center. Now, imagine if at all one player got a red card, what would have gonna hit obviously happen in there for you. So that is it for Carafiori. He takes a 7.5 out of 10. We go to the central defenders. Guys, Gabriel Magalhaes, 8.5 out of 10 for me. I really believe that the center back has obviously gonna hit complement each other very well with William Saliba, and I give both of them 8.5 because the way they obviously keep that closeness to one another, they read each other like a book. And you saw the number of times Saliba, went down to really stop United from shooting, and you even saw the number of times Gabriel Magalhaes went ahead obviously closed down into that side. So they really looked good as a pair, and for the first game of the season, if you can look like that, that means you only have to go ahead and really put in a more shift than that when you're really going to play against Leeds. I think Arsenal is playing Leeds next, not so. Yeah, they're really going to be playing against Leeds next. So both have an 8.5 out of 10 for me. Saliba, 8.5, and Gabriel Magalhaes, 8.5. Martin Zubimendi went ahead to cover a distance of 11.2 kilometers in that game. Then his top speed was 28 kilometers per hour. He had 56 touches, And out of those 56, he had 39 out of 44 passes, and that means only 5 passes. That's when he went ahead to lose possession. But 39 passes were really great, and the percentage is 89% was his passing accuracy as a player. Long balls, he went in for 3 and only 1 was accurate in there. Then out of the 6 duels, went ahead to only win 3. And the Elliott duels, he went ahead to win 1 out of 2. He lost possession 5-6 times, and he really made 1 block, 1 interception. Total tackles were 3, and he was dribbled past once as Martin Zubimendi. So to me, he takes a 7 out of 10. He really looked good in that midfield, though people think that he's obviously gonna really look as a prime Partey, a prime Rodri at a goal. But he needs to integrate into this team and obviously see to it that he gets the best out of the best from this side. And he takes a 7 out of 10 for me. Declan Rice, he really ran and really did what he had to do, because in a game like this, when it's a league opener, players are not yet to full fitness. I did a story at Rokani Media Football, and what we heard from the manager stated that the players right now are at 60%, and they'll only click the 100% after some 5, 6, 7 games of playing the game of football. That is it for the club of Manchester of Arsenal. So I think when they really hit those levels, they'll obviously look totally different into the mix. That is the club of Manchester United, Arsenal for you. So Declan Rice, 7.5 out of 10 for me into that full encounter, and we go to Martin Odegaard. Guys, people might not obviously have gone ahead to understand what Odegaard was all about in that game, but I really saw his importance into that beautiful game of football, and I know most of you really went ahead to do that. If you look at his heat map, it's really very good. He played 90 minutes, and he really had 31 out of 44 passes, making it 70%. He had 1 key pass, and I think he gave it to Bukayo Saka towards the end of the game, and Matthias De Ligt came to their rescue in there. He had 5 attempted, and 3 of those were really successful. He went ahead to really have 8 grand duels and went ahead to win 5. It shows you how special he is. Possession lost, oh my god, he lost possession 18 times. That is really bad for Martin Odegaard. I think what I've gone ahead obviously do far much better in there. And I give him a 7 out of 10 for me into that game of football as Martin Odegaard, because he never really looked as bad as other people think he looked. Bukayo Saka, I think this is one of the worst games I've gone ahead to see Bukayo Saka play. It's very hard for you to reminisce exactly what Bukayo Saka was doing on that pitch. The only time you remember him do something positive is towards the end of the game, where Odegaard went ahead obviously give him a very beautiful pass, and Saka went ahead obviously hit the ball, but who denied it to go on target? It was Matthias De Ligt. That's the only moment you'll obviously remember Bukayo Saka doing something productive, but the rest, I don't really think that he really did anything. And for me, I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. By the way, for the very first time, I'm giving him a 5 out of 10. And I don't remember whether there is a time I've ever gone to give Bukayo Saka a 5 out of 10. Even when his other teams are really not performing very well, he's the guy responsible for not really looking bad, even when Arsenal is really having worst performances in there. Gabriel Martinelli, 4 out of 10. He really looked bad. Do you remember anything positive that Gabriel Martinelli went ahead to do in that game? I don't really remember it, unless otherwise you really get me back to notice. You understand? Gyokeres, very bad game for Viktor Gyokeres, and his debut was really very ugly. I can tell you, his debut was very ugly in there for you. And you know what really made it ugly? It's because the manager that really brought him into Sporting Lisbon was the one that was giving notes to the defender of Manchester United, known as Matthias De Ligt, who was obviously defending him, and went ahead obviously have a hard time with him. When you look at when you obviously look at this, Gyokeres had 5 aerial duels lost, 4 passes completed, 0 out of 1 dribbles completed, 0 shots, 0 chances created, 0 assists, 0 goals, locked up by Matthias de Ligt. Obviously, the entire Arsenal side never went ahead to create chances for their number 9, and they never really did the due diligence to look up to the player that has been brought in to obviously be fed on creativity. But it's just 1 game in. Those are 37 games left, and we know to it that he might obviously unfold and really become one of the best players to ever see in this world. In here onto the Rokani Media Football. We go to the substitutes. Julian Timber, 6.5 out of 10. Lewis Kelly, he's taking a 6 out of 10. I think he really looked bad when he came on. And Kai Havertz, 6. Okay, he takes a 7 out of 10. That is Kai Havertz for you. And from Kai Havertz, we get to this other guy, Madueke, 6 out of 10. And who else came on? I think those are the players that really came in through when Arsenal was obviously facing off with the club of Manchester United at Old Trafford. The game ended 1-0 in favor of Arsenal. I've gone ahead to say Declan Rice take to his Instagram that it wasn't the best of performance, but good enough. They've gone ahead to walk away with 3 points. And there is a saying that a good team, even at its worst, goes ahead to obviously walk away with the 3 points, and they don't accept to lose. And there is a very huge positive into what Arsenal did last season to what they've gone ahead to do this season. This season, Arsenal have gone ahead to come in through and really register 3 points at Old Trafford. Last season, they dropped 2. This one, they've gone ahead to obviously collect all of the points. So, Arteta, obviously, for the masterminding of the game, he takes a 7.5 out of 10. And who is my man of the match? My man of the match is none other than David Raya. Feel free to go into the comment section and tell me who your man of the match has been. And after that, I'll come in here and see to it that we really get everything done and dusted. Before I obviously say goodbye, there is something I'm really checking on here to see whether I've gone ahead to profile all the players that really came on off the bench. You know, Kai Havertz. Oh, there is Mikel Merino. I hadn't obviously given him his rating. He takes a 6.5 out of 10. That is Mikel Merino for you. So guys, that is it for now. See you later. And those going to bed, go ahead and sleep. But in the next 1 hour, I'm going to be coming live with what Arteta said about that game of football. Then in the morning, we'll obviously do a recap of the entire Premier League and see where teams are and what they really plan to do. But Arsenal have really been shown why they need to get in a left attacking midfielder. If I'm Arsenal from this game, I obviously attack the deal of Madueke or Rodrigo immediately, right? So we sign out for now. See you later and bye-bye for now.